Hey everyone, it's Ben from Riversurf Lab, here to do a review of the TL Crusty Booger. This is a very interesting board, very different from everything else that I've surfed in the past 3 or 4 years. A lot of times I find boards that are, ride fairly similar, they can be better in certain ways, worse than others. This is just completely unique. This board comes in at 4'1" long, 21 and a half wide, super wide, and about 2 3/4 thick. And it's got a super wide tail on this thing, which makes it surf very interestingly. I think that's the key to what makes this board different, is the short length and really wide tail. I find myself having to stand all the way back against this tail and still having to put a ton of weight on my back foot to surf this board. But when you do it, it's just so fast and short and loose and fun that it's just different than anything else that I really have in my quiver right now. This is a custom board, and Tyler made this one specifically for me, and at this size it's definitely a little bit better on kind of a bigger or slower wave, kind of like Glenwood or Lunch Counter, or something with a lot of foam. Maybe the volume really comes into play and helps there, or something like Pueblo's Third Wave, which can be a little bit flatter. This board works great on those sorts of waves. But with it being a custom, he'll make you a board to any dimension, right? And I have surfed one of his Crusty Boogers that is 310, so really the shortest board I've ever ridden, and narrower and thinner. And I've surfed that at waves like Scout and found that super fun to ride there. This board in particular, with how wide and how thick it is, I would say it's not really ideal for waves like Scout or City Wave or RRP. This is a little bit too much board for waves like that. But in this size, it's great for the bigger waves. Probably my favorite thing about this board is just how fast it is in such a short and compact package. I really find myself being able to get a lot more speed on this board than other boards, and almost to a fault where even with a ton of weight on the tail, it's hard to slow it down. You really just have to just keep surfing it and surfing it. You can't really slow down and control it by just standing on the tail and pointing the board upstream. You just got to keep turning back and forth, railing carves. One thing that is hard to do on this board that I tend to do a lot of is spins. With a board this wide and this thick, I'm not able to get as much weight over the rails and really engage the rails, and when that happens to me, I typically end up sizing up with bigger fins, and once I size it up with bigger fins, it instantly becomes harder for me to spin it. A smaller version of this board would probably be much easier to spin, but then probably wouldn't be able to surf as many different waves as I've surfed on this board. One of the big surprises for me with this board is just how much fun it is to ride on so many different waves. I started off at Lunch Counter and I had a ton of fun on it. I was surprised able to get up on a board so short. Then I tried it over at Glenwood and I was surprised that I could surf Glenwood on a 4'1". This is by far the shortest board I've ever surfed at that wave. I tried it at Pueblo, had a ton of fun. Pueblo and RRP at low water, this was a ton of fun just to mess around on. I would surf it on my belly, surf it on my knees, just mess around and have fun on this board. There's something that's just unique and fun about this shape that draws me to it. I really enjoy just messing around on this board and doing stuff that I would never do on any other board. This is a fiberglass board, and although I wouldn't expect it to be as durable as a LiveTech board, I think this is about as good of construction as you can get out of a glass board. I've let this thing run into the walls at Scout Wave a couple of times now, and there's not a single ding on it. I think a lot of people who own Tyler's boards can attest. These boards are very durable and can take a lot of hits. As far as skill levels go, I think this board is probably best suited for intermediate river surfers or above. Beginner river surfers might struggle a little bit with a really wide tail, it being a little bit too fast, and like not having as much ability to stand on the tail to lift the nose to keep it from purling because of this wide tail might make it hard for some beginners. Although I think anyone could probably jump on their belly on this board and surf some sort of foam hole on it and have a ton of fun. To really stand up surf it, I think someone who's intermediate to advanced is probably going to really enjoy this board the most. Now, usually I would recommend other boards for you to take a look at. You know, if you're considering buying this board, what other similar boards are maybe high volume or short or have wide tails? But this board is just so unique and surfs so much different than any other board that I have that I don't really want to recommend any boards be compared alongside this one. What I can recommend though is that if possible, just try it out. Tyler is willing to let just about anyone ride his boards. If you see him on the wave, ask him if you can demo one of his boards, try one of these out. It is very different, but it is so much fun to ride and it's worth giving a shot for sure. That's it for today's review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have surfed one of these boards, I'd love to hear what you've thought about it in the comments. Thanks.